So I would like to ask you a few questions in particular from the
Yes.
past in the time of Egypt. So can you tell us when were you born and where?
Well, I was born in Port Said in Egypt. My father worked
In 1930?
1934,
Right.
1934, 8th December. And my father worked in Egypt.
So your family resided in Port Said or you were in Port Said by coincidence?
No, because my father went to work for the Suez Canal Company. So he was living in Egypt as an Italian, but he was living in Egypt.
In Port Said?
In Port Said, yes. And he got married in Egypt, and I was born in Port Said in 1934. And we stayed there until the war, the Second World War, which started in 1940. And of course, my father was not able to go back to Italy, and he was stuck in Egypt, and he was taken as a civilian prisoner.
Because he was Italian?
Because he was Italian, and Egypt was somehow a protectorate of the British
Right.
Empire.
So most of the Italians and
Yes.
Germans, if any, they
Yes,
were put in custody.
In fact, all the Italians who were in an age, male Italians, of course, were taken into prisoners' camps.
Right.
And stayed there until the war.
So from 1934 to 1940, you were in Port Said and you went to school there, I suppose.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Your sister was older than you. She was also there.
One year older than me, and we both went to French schools. First to Italian schools.
In Port Said?
No, it was now in Ismailia.
But
70 kilometers south of Port Said.
Right, but so I suppose 1934 to 1940, you were too small to go to school?
Yes.
Then your father was for the whole war in a camp?
Right.
Where was the camp? Do you remember the name?
Yes, it was in Fayid, which is somehow off the Bitter Lakes.
So not far from Ismailia?
Not far from Ismailia. It's on the Suez Canal.
Right.
And from
it's
there,
part of the canal.
From the Suez Canal. And
the canal goes through the Bitter Lakes.
Yes, through the Bitter Lakes. And on the side, there are some cities, small towns in those days. One of them was Fayed. And they had big camps. The British had big internment camps. And they put there all the Italians and Germans and whoever was of the Axis, so-called Axis in those days. So we stayed in Ismailia.
Do you remember in which year you moved from Port Said to Ismailia?
1939. 1939, we moved from Port Said to Ismailia.
And then after your father was arrested? Sort of.
No, before the war.
You moved just before the war?
Yes.
Then the war broke out,
yes.
And then all the Italians were put in the camp.
Yes. But we were staying before, in 1938-39, we were staying in Ismailia in a beautiful house that belonged to the Suez Canal Company.
Right.
The company gave the houses, or rented the houses.
Do you remember the name of the address?
No. I don't recall.
And do you remember if in the neighborhood you had any parents, or do you remember any names?
We had no parents. No, they were mostly French people who worked for the Suez Canal.
Right. And what was the job of your father at the Suez Canal Company?
My father, as far as I know, was a telegraphist. He worked on the telegraphing to the ships who were crossing the canal.
So in those days, that was quite a high position in the company.
Oh yes.
That's why he would there were white collars, and then he would have a nice house in Ismailia.
A nice house for the employees. Yes, most of the employees, European employees, had a house which was provided by the Suez Canal Company. And when the war broke up, then the father went to the internment camp, went to the prisoners' camp for 4 years, and we had to leave the house.
That's what
So-
I was going to ask. What did the company do for the family when he was detained? So he had to
They
release the
were-
house?
They were all put into pension, as if they had completed the time for the pension. So it was a small amount that they were receiving from the Suez Canal Company.
So your mother, Suzanne,
Right.
received some money from the Suez Canal Company to
Right,
support
right.
the two children, you and your
Right.
sister.
Right. And the Italian government, although it was at war, through the Swiss embassy, would give some money occasionally to the Italians who were stuck in Egypt.
Right. So at that time, during the war in Ismailia, did you go to school?
Yes, yes. I went to school, to Italian schools when I was young, and when I was a child, and then when I was 10 years of age, and then there were no more Italian schools, and I had to move to French schools. So I went to l'école des Frères de Ploermel from Bretagne.
So
Yeah.
l'école des frères de Ploermel de Bretagne, where was the school?
In Ismailia.
And
Those pictures that I gave you, those priests were the Frères de Ploermel,
right.
and they had a school.
And do you remember any person at the school, any teacher or a father, a priest?
Well, I remember a few colleagues name, but they were not Italian
And not related
They
to-
were not related.
Okay.
They were just
Right.
friends at school.
And do you remember the year when you started to go to l'école des frères de Ploermel?
1950.
Oh, so quite late after the war, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So going back to the war, in 1945, your father was released,
Yes.
and then what happened?
And then he looked for a job there.
He could not get his job back in the
No,
Suez Canal
no,
Company?
nobody got his job back.
Okay.
Nobody. And so it was a shock for him because he had a very good job before the war, and after the war he had nothing. He had to look for something to do, and so he worked for contractors for the British Army, contractors for the Egyptian government, things like that.
Okay.
But
So in those days, Suzanne, your mother, Bonguardo, she
Yes.
had many brothers. If I recall, 7 brothers
Yes.
in Egypt. Did any, to your knowledge, did any of the brothers help her in that time, in the war and after the war?
No, I remember she looked for some help from her brothers. She only got some help from Marcel.
The oldest.
The oldest. But very little. He offered very few things.
Okay.
He helped her finding a house, for example,
Uh-huh.
where she would live. Just before my father were released,
Yes.
before that, he helped her find a house. That's that kind of thing. It wasn't a very financial support,
Okay.
and it was only for Marcel.
So it could be that maybe because she didn't receive any help from her brothers, after the war she was a bit unhappy about that, and then the relationship deteriorated between them.
Not deteriorated. They just fell apart. You know, each one took
Right.
care of his own life, and we never saw again the 7 brothers.
Right.
But Marcel, for a short time. Marcel and Basha and
Right.
Oscar.
Right. And so between 1945 and the time until you left Egypt, where did you reside?
Before 1945.
So you were in Ismailia until 1945. Then your father came out of custody.
Yes, and looked for jobs. For
Right,
a
in
job.
Ismailia still. It was still in Ismailia in 1945 when he came out of
Yes.
detention.
He got smaller jobs.
But where? In Ismailia?
In Ismailia. In
Okay,
Ismailia,
so you
yes.
stayed in Ismailia after
Right.
1945.
Yes, until 1952.
Okay.
And I went to French school since 1950.
Okay. In which city?
In Ismailia.
Okay, and still the École des Frères de Pleuhermel or another one?
No, that's the same as École de Pleuhermel, where I got my baccalaureate.
Okay.
And then in 1952 we left Egypt to go back to Italy.
Okay, so when you say he went, the whole family?
The whole family.
So you, your mother,
my
Susanna,
mother, my father,
and Carmela, your sister,
yes,
and you?
Yes.
So you went, where did you go?
We went to Napoli. Why to Napoli? Because we had a friend who lived in the same building in Ismailia. And he had gone to Italy, and he had moved to Napoli.
Do you remember his name?
Yes, Mario Destito. He was not related to us as a family.
And Mario Destito.
Yes.
And do you think he worked at the Suez Canal Company?
No, he never worked for the Suez Canal Company.
Okay.
I think he came from Cairo. For some reason, he was in Ismailia. Okay. And he said, I'm going back to Italy, I don't want to stay in Egypt anymore. So he was the first to go. And of course, with the correspondence, we also moved to Naples, where we were received by him.
Okay.
He helped us a few weeks.
Do you remember the address or the part of Napoli where it was?
Where he lived, I don't know. But I know where he worked. He worked for the NATO.
Yeah.
The NATO forces. They had his headquarters in Naples. And he worked there. He was the chief personnel.
Okay.
And eventually he hired me. So I worked there.
Okay, later. Okay.
Later, after we arrived.
That's
after
interesting.
a couple of years.
So when your father first go alone and then the rest of the family joined after, or you all went at once?
The other way around. We first went, and then my father left Egypt because he had to solve some of the problems with insurance or something like that.
Okay. And then you resided in a property owned by this friend?
No, not owned by this friend. It was just he helped us find a place where to move.
And this place, do you remember where it was?
Oh yes. We moved to a place called Via Kerbaker. Kerbaker, 130.
Okay.
And that's where we stayed until 1960, 1965.
Okay.
1964, because in January 1965, I moved to the United States.
Right. So you had your baccalaureate from French baccalaureate back in Egypt?
Yes, back in Egypt.
Then you arrived in Napoli, and did you continue your studies in Napoli?
Yes, agricultural engineering.
Okay, so you became an engineer, Italian engineer.
An agronomist.
Okay. Oh, therefore your specialty.
Yes. So I became an agronomist, and in 1960, and in 1965, I left for the United States. But I wanted very much to go to the States.
Okay, but you finished your studies in what year?
1960.
And then you worked, I suppose?
I worked, yes. I was a teacher, like you've seen the picture. I was a teacher.
So you taught to the American troops to speak Italian?
Yes.
Because of the relationship with this friend, I suppose you were introduced to the NATO and then,
yes. And since I worked in the NATO headquarters, it was fairly easy for me to have contacts there, and therefore I worked there.
But you didn't work as an agronomist from the start?
No. From 1960, I did not work as an agronomist.
Okay.
I worked as a teacher.
As an Italian teacher?
I had a job as a teacher in a school, elementary school. I had a job as a teacher for the NATO personnel.
Okay.
And a private teacher.
Okay.
Until in 1965, January 1965.
So for about 5 years you were a teacher, and then you decided I want to move to USA.
Right.
And how did you organize this to move to the USA? You just said one day I'm moving, or?
No, that was a long time project. I really wanted to go to the United States to pursue my studies, to carry on my studies as an agronomist.
Which is quite expensive, so in those days...
But I got a scholarship,
okay.
a full scholarship, the trip and the staying and the school tuition and fees. Everything was paid for.
And to which school did you go?
I went to, there were several schools that accepted foreign students on scholarships. And one of these schools was the University of Arizona.
Arizona. In
Yes.
Phoenix?
In Tucson.
Okay.
Phoenix is 200 miles, I think, roughly, from Tucson.
So you were lost in the desert in
Yes,
Arizona?
but it was a beautiful city. Oh, that was a great time I had in the States. Beautiful.
So
all those girls, thousands of girls of all types, because many American girls go to Tucson, go to these areas. So I spent 3 or 4 years, very, very nice years.
So you were the Italian gigolo over there?
Yes.
And back in, so your family, I don't know if your family was well off in Napoli, but could they afford to pay for you the trip, or it was also paid
No, it was also paid.
Okay, so you had no issues.
Because I didn't have any money to pay for the trip. I had a Fulbright scholarship for the trip, and I had a scholarship from Phillips Petroleum for tuition and fees.
Okay.
And with the two things, I spent 4 years in Tucson.
And so what degrees did you receive in Tucson?
Excuse me?
What studies exactly, what degrees did you achieve?
As an agronomist, I selected agricultural chemistry and soils. So I specialized in agricultural chemistry and soils, and I got a master's degree from that university. After I got my master's degree, I was starting working as a research assistant, until the company called me. So Phillips Petroleum called me and asked me whether I wanted to go to Brazil.
And to work in which field? That's more...
To work in agriculture, because Phillips Petroleum set up a big factory, fertilizer factory in Brazil, and they needed people.
Okay.
And so they knew me because I had the scholarship from them. And they asked me if I wanted to go. I said yes.
So at that time you moved to Brazil, and so from the time you arrived until you moved to Brazil, how long have you stayed in USA?
4 or 5 years.
Always in Arizona?
Yes, always in Arizona.
So then you moved to Brazil?
To Brazil, and I started working for Phillips Petroleum in Brazil.
In which city is it?
In São Paulo. The factory was almost in Santos, 40 kilometers away from São Paulo. But I didn't work in the factory. I worked as an agronomist, as an assistant, etc.
So in which year, can you repeat please, in which year did you move to São Paulo, if you remember?
1970.
And at that time you were still single?
Yes, I was single. I moved I was an adult, but I was not married then. So I started working, and then I left the company, this Phillips Petroleum, and I went to work for Ciba-Geigy.
Still in Brazil?
In Brazil, in São Paulo.
So this is also the time when you learned to speak Portuguese, I suppose?
Oh yes. Oh, I learned Portuguese very, very quickly. 6 months I was able to speak Portuguese. For some reason. Well, because I knew French, I know Latin.
Italian.
English. Those languages are very close. So I forgot French, I forgot Italian, and I learned Portuguese.
Okay.
So yes, I learned very quickly. What I had difficulties to write in Portuguese. It took me much longer.
Okay.
But you develop that if you live in the country, you know. So.
And then with Ciba-Geigy, you stayed in Brazil?
Yes, I stayed in Brazil, in São Paulo, for 20 years.
Okay, and during those years, I suppose at some point you married?
Yes. yes.
So,
In 1976
and where did you encounter your wife?
at Sibagai. She was a secretary there. This is what normally happens. Because you meet the people there every day. So I meet Jasira, she was a secretary there. And I married her in 1976, I said.
Right, and then you got children.
I got children. 1977, I got the first one, Michele.
Who is now in USA?
Who is now in USA, right? And then the girl, and then Marcello. Marcello, who is now in Spain. In Spain. So I stayed in Brazil, and when I finished, when I retired from Ciba-Geigy, I needed money, still money, because I had the children abroad.
Do you remember in which year you retired?
Yes. Michele left Brazil in 1917.
1970, 70.
17.
No, it can't be.
No?
That's he wasn't born at
2017.
2017.
Yes.
Okay.
2017.
So you retired in 2017?
A little bit later.
I mean retired from Ciba-Geigy. When did you retire from Ciba-Geigy?
Okay. I left Ciba-Geigy in 1992.
And this is the time when you officially retired, sort of say?
No, so a few months later I retired.
Okay, and then you started your own business on top of being retired.
Right. On top of the retirement, I started my business as an English teacher. I had an English school. I set up an English school, and I worked 9 years as the owner of this English school that was called the Blue House.
In Sao Paulo?
In Sao Paulo. It was called the Blue House because the building was painted blue. So I decided to call it the Blue House. But then, at the same time, I started developing some activities in translation. And this grew up very, very quickly and become very, very large activity, to the point where I had to choose whether I wanted to be a teacher or I wanted to be a translator. And I decided to be a translator.
So you sold this school, or
yes,
you closed it?
Yes, closed the school. And from then on, I started working as a translator, now 25 years.
So this activity still exists as translator? You still are, or you still own this company as a translator?
I still own the company, I still work, and I still translate. I have some translation to do. I like it very much because you work with language, with words, and you stay home.
Right.
You don't have to go with the rain or when it's hot, or you just homework.
You're still very active. You're a very active person. You are very active.
I don't know.
Not everybody wants to work at 91. So.
Oh yes, but it's good. It's good. It keeps you alive, you know. I was wondering if I didn't have this job as a translator, what would I do the whole day? Oh, taking care of the plants. They don't take a lot of time. So.
And so in the meantime, your two boys and your daughter, they grew up. They went to school. They all married.
Right. And the boys went to the States.
Both of them studied in the States.
Yes. They graduated there. Michele got a master's degree in the other university, Clark's University. And then he started working because he married the girl whose name you have.
Who is originally from Albania.
Yes, originally from Albania. And he stayed there, got a green card, now he's got an American passport, built a house.
And I think they have 2 children.
2 children, right. I'll try to send you the pictures of both.
Would be nice. And your other son is in Madrid.
Yes, the other son also went to the States, graduated in engineering in Louisiana State University, and from there he went to Spain and started. You will have the information there.
Yes, and he's not married, is he?
No, he's married.
Okay.
He's married to a Mexican girl, very nice girl.
But I think they don't have children, if I recall.
No, they don't have children.
Okay. Whereas your daughter, she resides here?
My daughter, she married here, and she's got 2 children. You met them.
I met them this morning, yes.
This morning, right? The 2 girls. That's her children.
And does she work?
Yes, she works. She is a teacher. She graduated as a teacher, but teaching is lousy here. They don't pay. So I set up a school for her, children's school and kindergarten. But it was so difficult. Oh my God. People don't pay. You have to wait. You have the expenses. You have the people, the teachers. It costs you a lot of money. If you don't pay them, they go to the judge and they sue you. Oh, it was very complicated. Eventually, we sold the house. We sold the school, and then moved to Bauru.
But this activity was in Sao Paulo?
Yes.
Right. Can you tell us, when did you move to Bauru, from Sao Paulo to Bauru?
1999.
And why did you do that?
Why did you do? Okay, because I have no family in Brazil. Actually, I don't have any family elsewhere in the world. But
well, you do now. You know that you have family in Rio.
Oh yeah, yes, but they're distant family. I mean, but my wife had all her family in this area. Okay. For example, she has a sister here, and she is very close to her sister. So we decided, why don't we go to Bauru, which is quieter, which is a nice city, and we get out of this turmoil of São Paulo. Since we didn't have any friends, any family anymore, so we moved here. And
now I would like to go back briefly to your father, your mother, and your sister, whom after you left Napoli,
yes,
you kind of left also.
Yes.
You didn't have much contact with them after.
No, I didn't have any contact after.
But were you sending letters to them occasionally, or sending some information? So when you left to this university in the USA,
practically I forgot everybody, friends and everybody in Italy.
So your father, I don't recall exactly when your father died, but he passed away when you were in USA?
I don't know. I never knew that. I don't know.
Okay, so you did not experience that. And your mother?
She died in 1955.
Right. And at
that
that
time, still in Italy.
You were still in Italy, okay. But your father, you don't know, and we don't have the exact record. And for your sister Carmela, what information do you have, if any?
The only information I had is that just before I left Italy, she got married to apparently an American.
But you were still in Italy at that time?
Yes, in Italy.
And you didn't know about what happened? You didn't meet this person?
No, I didn't meet the person.
So it would be...
In fact, I had no contacts with my sister, and I understand that she got married to someone.
So this is the time when you were a teacher in Napoli and working for NATO. So in that period, you did not reside in the same house as your father and your sister.
No. I lived on my own. I lived in a pension. I lived everywhere.
Okay, so already at that time you had limited contact with your father and your sister.
Right.
Your mother passed away, if I recall, in 55, you said?
55.
Right. And that was it.
And so when I came to Brazil, I started a new life, especially when I got married. When I got married, I had a family.
And from there, you received no news from anybody in the family or from Egypt or from Napoli, etc.
Family, friends.
Everything was gone.
Everything was gone.
Right. Okay.